Good morning, my lovelies. It's Monday. I am not really a big fan of Mondays because it's the end of the weekend, but I always try to put a good spin on Monday, and Monday is always a new opportunity to do something differently than you did last week. If you didn't do your stuff like you should have last week, and honestly, Mercury and Venus are like in a fight with each other right now because I'm struggling. My brain is not like, I'm not even doing my bullet journal. And I know that I really struggle. Like, I can always tell when I'm struggling when I can't even do my bullet journal. But my brain is like, no, bitch. Nope, we ain't doing that today. So if you're like me and you're really struggling, fight your brain. I'm going to really try to do my bullet journal for March. I didn't do it hardly at all for February. So just change something today. Something for the better. Good morning, my lovelies. Here's your COVID-19 PSA update as of Monday, March 2nd. There are what are referred to as pockets and clusters in our country. This was expected. There's a pocket in Washington. There's a pocket in Ohio. There's a pocket in New York, New Jersey. Pockets and clusters are to be expected. What you don't want is those pockets to expand and to start connecting to each other. That's when you start to worry. But right now, we're fine. Unless you're in one of those pockets or clusters, you're fine. If you are, I would highly recommend trying to quarantine yourself as much as you can. Avoid large public places. Don't go to restaurants. Stay indoors as much as you can. If you're not, go about your everyday life. Wash your hands. Don't touch your eyes. Don't touch your face. Don't touch things, handrails, elevators. Don't touch things. Don't shake hands. If somebody's coughing, stay away from them. But just go about your everyday life. How do you just happen to know all this stuff about prepping? Well, it's interesting that you would ask that, other Shauna. Here's the truth. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice in learning the shit. When I was about 5, my dad left, and my mom was left alone, vulnerable, which made her vulnerable to this cult. And she joined this, like, militant, militia, hippie cult. And mostly it was former Vietnam veterans who were definitely suffering from PTSD, super militia, anti-government, combined with super anti-establishment hippies that just wanted to, like, peace, love, and fuck. And then a bunch of, like, kids and a bunch of moms. And then a bunch of, like, weird, like, social misfits, like LARPers that didn't really belong and were kind of more pagan, but were just chilling to get laid. Like, everybody was just getting laid. Picture this. 7-year-old me. My days are spent in the woods on a hippie commune. Going from, like, tent to tent. And, like, one tent would contain this, like, former Vietnam vet, and you would literally just, there's like 6 kids sitting around him all day long, and he's just ranting about the war and the travesties of war and taking apart a gun and putting a gun back together. And let me tell you, back in Nam, we had these things, they were called apple bottoms, but let me tell you, kids, they weren't apples. Let's just put it that way. I mean, like some dark fucking shit, okay? And you'd just be like, okay there, Uncle Geronimo. And then you go next to the next tent, and it's this hippie guy, and he's sitting in there going, don't eat the meat, don't trust the government government's out to get you, they're never going to tell you the truth, the census is all lies, there's poison in the food. Okay, then you go to the next tent, and it's some lady teaching you how. So then you move to the next tent, and it's a lady who's in there teaching you how to make peppermint candy from scratch and teaching you all of the wonderful medicinal properties of peppermint, which, just to start with, it's great if you're nauseous all the time, which is valid information. But at the same time, I'm like, this is my school, bitches. My mother's taken me out of school, registered me as homeschooling, and all I'm learning is how to take apart a gun, not to trust the government, and peppermint's great for nausea. Is anybody going to teach me, like, some math up in this bitch? Are we going to learn some geography? No. The answer to that question is no. I never learned anything of any value, but I do know all of the stuff that I'm teaching you guys now. And then, if that wasn't enough, then, we eventually got kicked out of that place because my mom was too much of an alcoholic and was fucking all the guys. But then I joined. Now, here's the thing about that. So my mom is pretty much committed to the Southern Baptist churches because you got to be committed to run a con. And it was a month-long con. First week you go in there and we are just wildin', and she's all, well, I'm doing my best. My husband left me, and Lord, if y'all could just pray for me. I'm just so overwhelmed right now, and I'm just doing my best. Oh my Lord. Second week we come in there, a little better behaved, but still not great. And my mom's all, well, I can really tell y'all have been praying for me, and it just means the world to me. Thank you so much. I just can't tell you how much help it's been. Third week, we're an angel. Then my mom has totally endeared herself to these people with all of her answered prayers and blessings. And then she's all, hey, by the way, can you maybe pay my power bill? And then the fourth week is thanks for paying my power bill. And then we move on to another church. All of my mom's Sundays are taken up with this Southern Baptist con. All of my mom's Wednesdays are taken up because you got to go to prayer meeting. Then you got to go to ladies' Bible study. Then you got to go to coffee with the ladies. Like, you got to lay on that, oh, Lord, I just am so overwhelmed, and I've just been praying for an answer to my prayers, and the Lord led me here, y'all, and I just can't tell y'all how much it means to me that y'all have just accepted me and my little family. You got to lay that shit on thick. So it's pretty time consuming. But then my mother discovered that there were other churches that went to church on Saturdays, such as the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventist and the Reformed Latter-day Saints. Not the regular Mormons. We'll be very clear. The Reformed Latter-day Saints, the ones that believe in the Warren Jeffs and the multiple. Interestingly enough, the Jehovah's Witnesses, we're not having none of my mama or my mama's bullshit. The Jehovah's Witnesses saw straight through exactly what my mom was trying to do, and they literally were like, nah, bitch, not having it here. So we literally only went to the Jehovah's Witnesses like maybe 3 or 4 times, and on like the 4th time, they literally were like, what exactly are you trying to accomplish by attending this church, Mrs. Bartholomew? Are you intending on becoming a member? Are you intending on helping us to generate more numbers? Are you going to, like, why are you here? And my mom didn't have an answer, because my mom's like, am I not welcome here? They were like, not really, no. So that one, they shut us down pretty quick. They saw through her. Now here's what you have to understand. I did not have a choice. It was not like my mother on the city bus on the way to church would say, hey, if you're not comfortable lying and manipulating these people, you don't have to. It was never discussed at all. It was never like, hey, when we get there, you're going to do this, and I knew exactly the role that I had to play without ever even being told what to do. I knew exactly what to do. I knew how to do it. And if I didn't do it, there were consequences. So it was literally like a play. We would go in and there was a role that I would have to play. And I didn't have a choice in whether or not to play that part. And when we went to the Seventh-day Adventist, that was the first time where I was kind of like, I don't really know if I like doing this anymore. This seems kind of shady. It's one thing if they're giving us the money. It's another if we taking it. I went into the Seventh-day Adventist church, and my mom perpetrated to all of those people that we had both been raised in the church our whole life, and that we had been homeschooled, because most Seventh-day Adventists homeschool like their whole life are homeschooled. Like they're not socialized a whole lot to people outside of the church, very much like the Mormons. And they ain't wrong for doing that. Like, I'm not saying they're wrong for doing that, because they ain't wrong for doing that. But I had been very socialized and was very street smart. And here's the thing. No one knows this, but Seventh-day Adventists do not drink when they're eating. It's part of their religion. They want your saliva to break your food down or something. So the very first meal that we ever ate there, I was choking. And I was like, I'm going to need something to drink. And they were like, we don't do that. Aren't you raised in our church? You know that. I was like, no, I need something to drink. I'm choking. They did not even have a cup in the building. I had to drink out of a bowl. Legit.